At the start of A Game of Thrones, there haven't been dragons in the world for quite some time. They are believed to be extinct by the vast majority of people, although there are rumors of dragons still living within the shadow east of Asshai. At the end of A Game of Thrones, Daenerys Targaryen somehow hatches 3 dragon eggs by putting them on the funeral pyre with her dead husband and walking into the pyre herself, only to remain unharmed when the fire dies down. Why did Daenerys do what she did? And why did it work? As A Game of Thrones goes on, Daenerys becomes gradually more obsessed with her stone dragon eggs. When Dany goes into labor, she nearly dies and goes in and out of consciousness for several days. Once they find her on the carpet crawling towards her dragon eggs. "I must," she tried to tell them. "I have to." "Sleep, princess," Ser Jorah said. "No," Dany said. "Please, please." "Yes." He covered her with silk, though she was burning. "Sleep and grow strong again, Khaleesi. Come back to us." The next time Dany wakes, she asks for one of her dragon eggs. She seems to note that she feels heat within it, and something moves within the stone. However, Dany is not afraid. It did not frighten her. All her fear is gone, burned away. After Dany wakes for the final time, she finds Drogo catatonic and her son stillborn. She mercy kills Drogo and punishes Mirri Maz Duur for tricking her by tying her to Khal Drogo's funeral pyre, where she has also placed her 3 dragon eggs. Before Dany lights the fire, the Magi declares, "You will not hear me scream." "I will," Dany said. "But it is not your screams I want, only your life. I remember what you told me. Only death can pay for life." Mirri Maz Duur opened her mouth, but she made no reply. As she stepped away, Dany saw that the contempt was gone from the Magi's flat black eyes. In its place was something that might have been fear. What happens when Dany herself steps into the pyre is key. The flames were so beautiful, the loveliest things she had ever seen, each one a sorcerer robed in yellow and orange and scarlet, swirling long smoky cloaks. Dany seems to be entranced by the flames as she walks further into the fire. Her clothes begin to burn off, but she herself is not burned. She hears a crack and she sees one of the dragon's eggs fall to the ground, cracked open and smoldering. She thinks to herself, only death can pay for life. And then another crack, loud and sharp as thunder. She can hear screaming from outside of the pyre. She hears Jorah calling for her and she thinks to herself, the fire is mine. I am Daenerys Stormborn, the daughter of dragons, bride of dragons, mother of dragons, don't you see? Finally here she hears a third crack, loud and sharp as the breaking of the world. The pyre collapses. What happens after that is history, as they say. But how? How did Dany hatch dragon eggs? The Valyrians tamed and controlled dragons through magic that has been lost in time. All Valyrian magic is said to be rooted in fire and blood. Drogo's pyre had both. When Dany lights the pyre, the flames engulf Mirri Maz Duur, and she goes silent. It's only then that Dany's dragon eggs begin to crack, and even then Dany thinks in that moment, only death can pay for life. Was the Magi's life part of the sacrifice that allowed Dany's dragons to be born? I think this is likely, and Daenerys seems to think so. But still, that doesn't explain how Dany survived the fire. In the show, Dany seems to be immune to fire, but in the book, she's not. She's burned several times throughout the course of the series, and George R.R. Martin himself has flat out stated that she's not immune. So how does Dany not burn? I believe the answer lies again in Mirri Maz Duur. Before the pyre is lit, Mirri Maz Duur proclaims that Dany will not hear her scream. And when the fire is lit, she begins to sing in a shrill, ululating voice, similar to the way she did in Drogo's tent. Mirri Maz Duur's voice rose to a high, ululating wail that sent a shiver down Dany's back. Some of the Dothraki began to mutter and back away. The tent was aglow with the light of braziers within. Through blood-splattered sand silk, she glimpsed shadows moving. Mirri Maz Duur was dancing, and not alone. Could it be that Mirri was trying to prevent herself from burning by performing some type of spell? And is it possible that for some reason, instead of saving her from burning, it saved Dany? Some Targaryens, though not immune, seem to possess a higher tolerance to heat than most, as evidenced by Dany's fondness of taking extremely hot baths that most people would find unbearable. Could this plus Mirri's spell have been what allowed Dany to survive the fire but not Mirri? The final thing to consider here is King's blood. There is some evidence throughout the series that King's blood could possess certain magical properties. This is mostly perpetuated by Melisandre, but there is a possible connection here. In Melisandre's religion, the combination of king's blood and fire could have potent magical effects. Drogo's blood could have been key in the hatching of Dany's dragons. Dany is certainly not the first Targaryen after the extinction to attempt to hatch new dragon eggs. The most well-known and recent attempt other than Dany's led to a horrible tragedy. Dany's great-grandfather, Aegon V, was a just king who cared for the poor. As he grew older, he became more and more obsessed with the idea of hatching dragons. The last years of his reign were consumed by a search for lore about dragon breeding in Valyria. It's said that he commissioned journeys to places as far away as Asshai in the hopes of finding some forgotten knowledge. All of this leads up to the tragedy at Summerhall. The blood of the dragon, gathered in one, 7 eggs to honor 7 gods, though King's own Septon had warned. Pyromancers, wildfire, flames grew out of control, towering, burned so hot that died, but for the valor of Lord Commander. It seems like at Summerhall, Aegon was attempting to hatch dragon eggs, but something went terribly wrong and everyone there ends up dying. Well, not everyone. Some do survive. Targaryens seem to have a habit of doing that. They become obsessed with fire and dragons and they usually end up killing themselves. Like Dany probably would have if Mirri Maz Duur hadn't been there. Dany simply had all the right pieces in all the right places at exactly the right time. She appears to have unknowingly performed an ancient ritual which led to the birth of her dragons. It's almost as though destiny was guiding her. Or perhaps something else. It seems as though something was reaching out to Dany through her dreams, attempting to influence her. The first dream Dany has comes days before her wedding to Drogo, and when examined, it seems like an attempt to scare Daenerys. Viserys was hitting her, hurting her. She was naked, clumsy with fear. She ran from him, but her body seemed thick and ungainly. He struck her again. She stumbled and fell. "You woke the dragon," he screamed, as he kicked her. "You woke the dragon! You woke the dragon!" Her thighs were slick with blood. She closed her eyes and whimpered. As if in answer, there was a hideous ripping sound and the crackling of some great fire. When she looked again, Viserys was gone. Great columns of flame rose all around, and in the midst of them was the dragon. It turned its great head slowly. When its molten eyes found her, she woke, shaking, and covered with a fine sheen of sweat. She had never been so afraid. Dany's second dream, however, seems to be one of an empowering nature. Yet when she slept that night, she dreamt the dragon dream again. Viserys was not in it this time. There was only her and the dragon. Its scales were black as night, wet and slick with blood. Her blood, Dany sensed. Its eyes were pools of molten magma, and when it opened its mouth, the flame came roaring out in a hot jet. She could hear it singing to her. She opened her arms to the fire, embraced it, let it swallow her whole, let it cleanse her and temper her, and scour her clean. She could feel the flesh sear and blacken, and slough away. She could feel her blood boil and turn to steam, yet there was no pain. She felt strong, and new, and fierce. There seems to be a conflict between the tone of the two dreams. While one encourages Daenerys to fear the dragon, the other encourages Daenerys to embrace the dragon. The final dream is a mixture of the two. She's walking towards the red door, walking fast trying to get to it. The red door, if you don't know, represents home for Daenerys. She hears in her head, "You don't want to wake the dragon, do you?" She dreams of making love to Drogo under a blue sky with a dragon flying above, and she sees it setting the world aflame. She hears again, "Don't want to wake the dragon, do you?" She sees Jorah's sorrowful face and hears him call Rhaegar the last dragon. Again she hears, "Don't want to wake the dragon." Then she sees Viserys screaming at her. She sees the horrible image of his eyes bursting open and running down his cheeks. Again the voice, "Don't want to wake the dragon." Now here's where it gets even more interesting. The red door was so far ahead of her, she could feel the icy breath behind, sweeping up on her. If it caught her, she would die a death that was more than death. Howling forever alone in the darkness, she began to run. "Don't want to wake the dragon." As Danny's dream goes on, the images she sees become less and less pleasant as she gives into fear. She is desperately afraid of the icy breath behind her, so she runs faster towards the red door. Next she sees Rhaego, her son that never was. He smiled, but when he opens his mouth, flames come out, kinda like a dragon. She hears the voice again, but this time it says, "Want to wake the dragon." She finally catches up to the red door and flings it open. She hears the voice one last time. The dragon. Within the house she sees Rhaegar, but when she lifts his visor, it's her face. She then wakes. I think it's pretty symbolic that Dany finds herself within Rhaegar. It's simple stuff like that that keeps me from buying into certain popular theories in the A Song of Ice and Fire community. Let's just keep it at that. Call me delusional, but it's almost like we just witnessed some type of battle here. One that's of a very abstract nature and very strange on the surface. Almost as though two forces are pulling Dany in two different directions. One encouraging and empowering, the other disparaging and frightening. If there are opposing forces representative of fire and ice, as Melisandre's religion seems to suggest, then it makes sense that they would be at constant odds. But based on what George R. R. Martin has said in the past, it seems unlikely that these forces or gods would manifest in such a direct way, so it's more likely that people would be behind Dany's dreams. A dragon would be the obvious champion of fire. Dragons are fire made flesh, much in the same way the others seem to be ice made flesh. So any champion of ice probably wouldn't want dragons around, and would probably actively try to prevent dragons from coming into being. Assuming that they had the ability to, of course. Who could these people be? Well, one of the people that we know that can enter the dreams of people is Bloodraven, also known as the Three-Eyed Crow, also known as Brynden Rivers. Now the book does say that wings shadowed Daenerys' fever dream. Were these the wings of a dragon or the wings of the Three-Eyed Crow? Now honestly, it seems to me that Bloodraven is a prisoner of the Children of the Forest. Think about it for 1 second. Bloodraven couldn't leave that cave if he tried. He is a part of the werewood. Bloodraven was known to study the arcane arts. Could it be that he was lured into the cave by the children? By the promise of learning old knowledge and gaining new powers? And they used him as their thrall since, until he grew old and began to wither, so they had to call forth a new victim. If the Children of the Forest and the others are in league, as I've suggested in other videos, then it makes sense that they would do everything that they could to try and prevent the birth of dragons. As we know, the others use reanimated corpses of men as their thralls. The most definite way to kill one of these thralls is by fire. Dragons would seem to be the perfect weapon against the others. 1. The Children of the Forest and the others are working together against mankind. 2. The Children of the Forest have the ability to send dreams influencing the mind of people through Bloodraven, as evidenced by Jojen and Bran. 3. Dragons will be the ultimate bane of the others. All the pieces seem to fit. Through Bloodraven, the children have been manipulating key characters in our story, some to greater effect than others. And what if I told you that it's been going on for far longer than either Bran or Dany have even been alive? But wait, so if Bloodraven is behind Dany's discouraging, fearful dreams, then who could be behind the empowering ones? Well, you'll have to watch part 2 to find out. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for more ideas of Ice and Fire.